What's up, everybody? And welcome into a bit of a different episode here on The Lawyer You Know, where we're going to break down a DUI video of none other than Nick Hogan, Hulk Hogan's son. There's a lot of interesting aspects. I haven't watched every second of it like we're going to do together today. I've seen parts of it, and there's a lot of interesting information we can learn here. Just for some background, whenever you prosecute DUIs or defend DUIs, the body cam footage or dash cam footage, if it's there and if it exists, is pretty much the most important part of the case, because the jury will have that to look at and view with their own eyes and hear with their own ears what somebody looked like, sounded like. They don't necessarily have to rely on the police reports or what the police say for some things. Now, obviously, you can't smell through a video camera, which is a big one, and we'll talk about here. And we're going to talk about where the cops were fair, maybe where they weren't fair. Hulk Hogan himself shows up. We have some very interesting characters in the car with Nick Hogan that we get to hear from at the end of the video. Some of the biggest fireworks happen at the end. But overall, a very interesting video to watch together. And the saddest part about this is when you have a situation with somebody like Nick Hogan, or Nick Balea is his official name or legal name, is for somebody that has already had major issues on the road, changing someone's life forever for the worse because of his bad decisions, to make another alleged bad decision like this, to drink anything and get behind the wheel of a car knowing the damage you can cause to someone's life, should be something that reminds all of us to be safe behind the wheel, to not drink and drive, even though technically you can drink and drive legally as long as you're under the legal limit in most states. It's still never worth the risk. We're going to hear about some of the potential safety issues that occurred tonight. We know about a lot of the issues in the past with him racing. Hulk Hogan knows about it. His family knows about it. Everybody knows about it. And the injuries and damages that he caused making bad decisions while behind the wheel. So my hope is that he learns his lesson eventually, and maybe this will be the thing that teaches him his lesson and is severe enough to get him back on the straight and narrow, because you only get so many chances and so many lives can be affected by your bad decisions before you don't get any benefits of the doubt. You don't get any breaks, nothing like that. So we're going to watch this together. A lot of details come out. I'll bring in some stories of cases I've had, trials I've had at the state, and defending these DUI cases, because it's always interesting to watch these videos. You can learn so much from them. If you guys are new to the channel, I'm an attorney in Florida. I practice primarily personal injury, civil trial law, but I also do some criminal defense. And back in the day, I did a lot of criminal defense. Our firm does a lot of criminal defense, as well as catastrophic injury, wrongful death cases, which is where I focus most of my time now on the civil litigation and personal injury side of that, plaintiff side there. And then I also prosecuted cases early on in my career, which you're going to hear some about today. So give this video a like if you're interested in this content and this type of content, breaking down videos like this, kind of one-offs, even if we're not going to follow the case from beginning to end. And give us a subscribe if you guys enjoy it. So let's get to the video now that you have the backstory. We are going to watch this together and see what we can learn.
Hey, sir. How much you had to drink tonight?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing at all?
So we start off with a bang. Cops ask a question. A, he doesn't have to answer it. B, he can say nothing. Even if he had something, it's a lie. But they're basically asking you to incriminate yourself. If you said I had 4 beers, if you said I had 4 glasses of wine or 6 shots, then boom, right away, you're for sure getting arrested. They have an admission that they can likely use against you, even though they have not read you your Miranda rights. He's not in a custodial interview. He's not been arrested at this point. Cops just come up and ask you a question. If you answer it and say something incriminating, they can use that against you.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my
You almost ran me over.
Let me back it up so you can hear that. So first off, you get to take a look. What does he look like? Does he look drunk? Are his eyes red? Those kinds of questions are always fair as we look at videos like this, because that's exactly what a jury is going to do. It's exactly what a prosecutor is going to ask the jury to do, what a defense attorney is going to ask the jury to do in different ways. They're going to be like, look, he looks perfectly fine. If you're a defense attorney, the prosecutor's like, clearly he's drunk from this. Now, some videos, it is clear one way or the other. This one, I think, can be on both sides. Let me know what you think as your perception as a potential juror when you just look at him and his demeanor and how he's dressed and how he talks and how he acts. Does he seem like he's drunk or not? He's already looking for his driver's license. That's usually a good sign. If you're totally plastered, you're going to forget or have no clue what's going on when the cop comes up. But the cop says something very important right off the bat that I want to highlight here. So let's listen to it.
Nothing at all?
Sorry, I'm just looking at my insurance.
You almost ran me over. It was me that you almost ran over when you were driving right by me. Okay? When there's police lights lighting up the road over there.
I'm so sorry. It's just been a night where I was just on our way home and we were leaving.
You mind stepping out for me?
Yeah.
So that's obviously a bad sign too. You mind stepping out. But he said, you almost ran me over. And we're going to find out later that there was a safety stop or something happening. Cops pulled somebody over and he didn't go around almost hitting the cops that were standing there on the side of the road. That's bad, obviously. And in Florida, you can get pulled over for that if you don't pull over to the next lane and give them full clearance. If you see cop cars lit up, things like that. But why this is so important is I had a case one time when I was a prosecutor and I basically got thrown the case. It was one of I think it was like the second or third case I ever tried. Nobody else wanted it. Private defense attorney, very good defense attorney that I'm friends with, had the case. His client blew a 0.3, which in Florida is more than 3 times the legal limit of 0.08. Clearly drunk driving. But it got thrown out. The blow got suppressed and half of the video, the body cam video, got suppressed because the officer admittedly screwed up. He didn't do things appropriately. He was asking some questions, turned it off, turned it back on. The guy blows after refusing. There was all sorts of confusion. The cop messed up and the defense attorney rightfully got it thrown out. They were looking for a deal. State attorney's office didn't want to give them a deal. They give it to me. They say, go try it, do the best you can. So I tried it with another state attorney. And this was the entirety of the trial. Opening statements, officer, partial video, closing arguments. It's like half a day, the whole trial. What did the officer see? What did he do? What was the interaction like? Defendant didn't testify. And again, we only had half the video, not much of the defendant, not much of the conversations that would have been beneficial to the state. Very clear this guy was driving while impaired and under the influence of alcohol and drunk and should not have been behind the wheel. So I felt comfortable trying it, even though we lost some of the evidence and we knew it was going to be difficult. So we went forward on it. And what we hammered on in opening statement and when the officer was on the stand and then in closing statement again was how dangerous this defendant's driving was. Serpentine motion, in and out of his lane, a biker rode by, just barely missed the biker, and basically what a danger he was on the road, and the driving that he was exhibiting proved that he was impaired. And then, of course, when the officer got up, smelled alcohol in his breath, observations of the officer, conversations with the defendant, the officer could testify to, things that he said, things that he did. He refused field sobriety exercises, so we didn't have any of that. But afterwards, we talked to one or two of the jurors, and really it came down to the way he was driving and the observations of the officers. And if you do something dangerous and an officer sees you do something dangerous in the car that would make them think you're impaired, and then they come talk to you and that confirms it, that is a huge piece of evidence. So against Nick Bolea, to have an officer say, you almost hit me when I was on the side of the road and didn't even see me and just kept flying by going 50 miles an hour, that was the first indication you were impaired. And then they stack up things as they go. But dangerous driving on the road, as opposed to you parked just ahead of the stop line, or you rolled the stop sign, you kind of came to a stop, but not a complete stop. You changed lanes without a blinker, even though it was safe to change lanes. Sometimes we have that dash cam footage where they change lanes without their blinker, but there was plenty of room. It wasn't a dangerous move. And that's not as heavy or serious of a piece of evidence as something like this or something like we had in that DUI case that did, by the way, end in a conviction for that criminal defendant, even with half the evidence we could have had. So he asks him to step out. And again, the observations continue.
Nice truck. Expensive truck.
Oh, sorry.
Nice truck, expensive truck. Like, that's unnecessary. Come on, dude. Why do you have to say that? Again, that's starting contention, in my opinion. But Nick Hogan, I'll give him credit for this. Very respectful the entire time. Was he telling the truth that he had nothing to drink and why his breath smells like alcohol, which we're going to hear? I don't know. That will be maybe one day for a jury to decide, or he probably pled to this or did DUI school or things like that. But he was respectful the entire time.
So where are you coming from tonight? Come on over here. Leaving the beach, heading home? Nothing to drink tonight?
No, sir.
Every question they ask you can be used against you. But I will say, refusing to answer these questions usually doesn't bode well for you either. So this is always the tough waters to navigate. I would probably always say at this point when they're taking you out of the car, they've already smelled your breath, looked in your eyes, probably just wouldn't say anything at this point. That would be my advice.
So it's just, you said they're passengers?
Yeah, just passengers.
I can smell it on your breath.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's them. I was just kissing my girlfriend.
So he said the passengers have been drinking. He said, but I can smell alcohol in your breath. He said, well, I was kissing my girlfriend. I think later they said they were married, or he was married to somebody. I don't know. Kissing my girlfriend. That's how the alcohol got transferred to my breath. Interesting. We've had experts testify as to how much alcohol it takes to actually leave a scent of alcohol in your breath. We've also had experts talk about how moderate to mild to extreme levels of alcohol in the breath, the nose can't really differentiate. So there's all sorts of expert testimony that goes behind this kind of thing. But Nick Hogan kind of had an answer for everything as to what the officer was observing at this point.
That's what you're going to say?
That's what you're going to go with?
You're kissing your girlfriend, so that's why you have alcohol coming off your breath.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I was telling you.
He's like, yeah, that's what I was telling you. Again, he does not seem like wasted to me. Maybe he's had a few too many to drink, which again, you should not get behind the wheel at all, period. But he's not falling over. You've probably seen some DUI videos where they're falling over. Guess what? That's not the level of impairment you need to get convicted of a DUI, right? It doesn't have to be that bad. So just observations here. We're going to continue to watch and see how he does. But again, the officer's being a little contentious and again, maybe baiting Nick Balea to see if he comes at him or acts really belligerent. And so far, he hasn't.
Well, would you mind if I check your eyes, make sure you're safe to be driving, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we're about to get to the HGN, horizontal gaze nystagmus test.
Sorry, can you kill your lights?
Basically tests if your irises
I want you to
shake
put your feet together from your heels and toes, touch like my hands at your
when
sides.
they move the pen. And again, this is something the jury can't see. We hate this one as defense attorneys because it always ends in impairment. The officer almost always says the person's impaired when they do the HGN as a scientific test when they move the pen. Some of them aren't even certified. Some of them do it wrong. Sometimes we dig into that. But again, it's hard for a jury to see if your irises are shaking as they move back and forth. This is an indicator of impairment.
Plastic contact, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, perfect. Have you hit your head really, really hard in the last 24 hours where you caused you to vomit or something?
Not in the last 24 hours.
Okay. So, you see I red light on my pen?
Yes, sir.
I want you to just follow with your eyes only, don't move your head. I want you to keep your chin level for me, though.
Yes, sir.
So he's going to go back and forth with the pen. And again, you can't really see if his eyes are shaking, but the officer is going to put it in his report. My guess is he said yes.
Still, put your nose facing me and just move.
And he always likes to correct. You always like to correct him if you're the officer when they're doing these field sobriety exercises. Like, oh, stop moving your head. I told you not to move your head, because not following directions is also something on their DUI sheet that if the officer checks it off is another sign of impairment. Again, and Nick Hogan, if you have any physical impairment that makes this difficult to you, you tell the officer, he says, I have a neck injury. That's what makes it hard for me. But they continue doing it. And this is also on 1.25 speed. So if it looks like he's going fast, that's why. We will slow it down for some of the other field sobriety exercises.
Okay. Sure. How are you?
I got neck problems here. I'm sorry. I can't turn my head that far.
Just keep your chin level for me. You're looking up. Keep your chin level.
I'm sorry. I got neck problems. I was just trying to tell you I can't.
Yeah, I don't want you to move your head. You keep moving your head.
I understand that, but I can't. If I look too far, that way I have to.
I don't want you to move your head. You keep moving your head, which again is going to show in his report a sign of impairment.
From head to neck is a little.
Just your eyes. You don't need to move your head.
That's fine.
Okay, keep your chin level for me, though.
Okay, no problem.
There we go. We're going to just move past again.
I can only look so far, Ben. Without my neck turning, I can only look so far.
I need you to follow my instructions. Okay, keep your chin level for me. Your chin is.
Follow my instructions. Stop moving your head. Guarantee those made it into the report as additional impairment.
Still on level. There we go.
Okay. Well, you're holding it above my head. I'm sorry.
I'm not holding above your head. Okay. Okay, keep your feet together for me.
And by the way, you can pick apart everything like, oh, the lights were shining to the left. That makes it harder. You should have done it this way. You pick apart the way that they do every single one of these field sobriety exercises as a criminal defense attorney.
Toes touching. Here we go. We're going nice and slow.
Now, what do body cams like to result off time?
I don't want you out of the car.
Okay.
We're going to go up 2 times. Just your eyes. Last time we do is I'm going to move around your face like this in a circle. I want you to follow with your eyes. There we go.
You want to follow
Yep,
the
follow the
light?
light. Yep, follow the light. One more time. Last thing I want you to do is look up in the sky for me. Close your eyes. I promise you not a trick, okay? Just on the right. So your feet are together for me, heels and toes touching. Heels and toes touching. There you go. Tilt your head back. Look in the sky. And close your eyes.
And they also do this like heels and toes touching. How many people stand with their heels and toes touching? It's a very uncomfortable way to stand. But again, if you lose your balance, it's a sign of impairment. Okay.
All right, you can relax. All right, sir. Here's where I'm at. I answer some signs of impairment. I'm going to ask, are you willing to further participate in some field sobriety exercises?
He sees signs of impairment. Do you want to participate in future or more field sobriety exercises? Okay. You can deny that. And that denial can be used against you, or you can do it. And he decides to do it. So we're going to be able to watch him do more field sobriety exercises. And I guarantee on the HGN, he said there was shaking of the iris, basically. He wasn't following directions and was moving his head while following the laser, which are all signs of impairment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He says, let's do it. He's very confident, not scared to do field sobriety exercises. So here we go.
Actually, we're gonna do it right over here.
And they're looking for a straight line for him to walk on that's flat with no impediments, so he can do the walk and turn.
That line that's a little bit better. Yeah.
That one?
It's because it's wet, so my tape's not going to stick here. So I'm going to make sure that. I think this one's okay. No. Line for me. I'm going to start just by asking you a few personal questions. Can you state your full name for me?
Nicholas Amboya.
Okay. What race do you identify with?
Is that a loaded question?
No, it's
white.
A question. Yeah, I have to ask. Okay.
I mean, that's a, okay, white.
What's your date of birth?
Weird interaction, right? Is that a loaded question? Okay, white. I don't know why that's a loaded question in this scenario, but.
July 27th, 1990.
Okay. Do you have any physical defects?
So he goes through.
Aside from injuries, no.
Okay. Are you sick or injured right now?
Other than.
So they bleep this out, HIPAA, not to get into his medical history, so we'll skip as he discusses this stuff.
All right. Are you diabetic?
No, sir.
Take insulin?
No, sir.
Okay. You take any medications prescribed to you? Your glasses or contacts? You said no.
No, sir.
What's your highest level of education?
GED.
GED. Okay. Have you
And again, they ask that because if somebody doesn't know how to read or write, or they have a really low level of education, maybe they'll do things differently, or maybe when they read them, any of what their rights are, they read it to them because they know they can't read it themselves. So getting that information is pertinent to this investigation.
Alcohol beverages in the past 24 hours?
No, sir.
Have you used any illegal drugs or narcotics to include marijuana in the past 24 hours?
No, sir.
Okay. This may sound like a silly question, but do you know your left from your right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have to ask. Some people don't know. Which one's your left? Which one's your right? You got it. Okay. So this first exercise is called the walk and turn. What I'm going to do is put you in a starting position. And once I put you in that starting position, I don't want you to move from the starting position, okay?
So starting position, you don't want to move from the starting position.
Yep. Once I put you in it, okay? But I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to demonstrate it for you. I'm going to give you.
Once they put you in the starting position, don't move from the starting position. All instructions are so important here because anything you miss or ask for clarification on, or ask again, or have to start over, they will say is a sign of impairment.
Instructions. Ask you if you have any questions, and then we'll address those questions, okay? You see this line that's painted down in front of you?
Yes, sir.
You see anything that may prevent you from walking that out line? Any potholes, rocks, or sticks in the way? Obstructing it?
No.
No? Okay. Do you feel like there's any reason why you can't walk down that line?
Aside from the rain, no, sir. I don't think it's raining that hard. No, sir.
No, it's not raining anymore.
It's still drizzly, but
Okay.
Yeah, and
All
I
right.
meant to point
So-
this out when they were at the car. You can absolutely see raindrops and some drizzle. So, you know, these technicalities, again, you don't want to get into arguments if you're the criminal defendant. I think the things he's saying are fine, but I don't want to sway you guys because I really want to know in the comments when you start to think he seems like he's impaired. To me, it does start to feel a little bit like that in these conversations, even though he is respectful. He's not, being a jerk to the cops, but it definitely feels like if you're there with him, you can see some signs of impairment, but we'll see how he does on the field sobriety exercises.
The starting position is going to be like this, okay? I want you to go ahead and place your left foot on the line. Yep. Take your right foot.
Listen to these instructions because they tell you these instructions once, and then it's like, okay, go do it.
Place it directly in front of your left foot with the heel of your right foot touching the toes of your left. Hands at your side.
By the way, I'm going to back it up so we can hear it again, but this playback speed is normal. And listen to how quickly he says these instructions.
Yep. Take your right foot, place it directly in front of your left foot with the heel of your right foot touching the toes of your left. Hands at your side. And I need you to remain in that position until I finish the instructions, okay? When I tell you to begin, you're going to take 9 heel-to-toe steps on this line, touching heel to toe on each step with no space in between.
is this step one, or do we
No,
start with the next one?
your step's going to be your back foot. I'm going to explain it to you, okay? And I'm going to demonstrate it.
Yes, sir.
At the end of your 9th step, you're going to make a turn in which I'm going to show you, and you're going to take 9 more heel-to-toe steps back down the line. While you do this, you're going to keep your hands down at your sides, look down at your feet at all times, and count each step out loud so that I can hear you. Okay?
1 through 9. Looking at my feet.
It's going to look like this. I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm going to demonstrate it for you, okay? Watch me, okay? 1, 2, 3, and so on until you get to 9. On your 9th step, leave your front foot planted on the line. Take your back foot off, make a series of small steps, just like this, to turn yourself around while pivoting on that front foot. And once you completed the turn, I want you to return back down the line with 9 more heel-to-toe steps. The back.
So where most defendants screw up, and Nick Hogan's about to screw up here too, is when you do that turn. You stop, you plant your foot, and you basically shuffle your other foot small steps around. So you do like a semicircle. You don't just twist with your feet on the line. Very, very often that's messed up. And again, the reason this shows impairment is not being able to remember, think, and do multiple things at the same time, which is what you have to do while you're driving. So if you can't remember to take 9 steps and shuffle around that step, you probably don't know you got to turn your blinker, check as you're changing lanes, hit the brakes if you need to, if somebody comes in front of you, all of the things you need to be able to do and multitask and react while you're driving. That's the purpose of these signs of impairment when you do these field sobriety exercises. So when they screw up a bunch of them or they don't follow the directions, it's like, yeah, you're probably impaired.
Foot's going to be your first step. I'm going to show you again. 1, 2,
I showed him twice.
3, 4, and so on until you get to 9. Okay? Now, during exercise, I want you to keep your hands at your sides, okay? Look down at your feet all the time, kind of spell out loud. I stop so that I can show you to turn. I don't want you to stop.
Okay.
Once you start the exercise, don't stop walking. Don't stop walking until you've completed it. You understand the exercise?
Yes, sir.
Also always interesting, I think, how cops don't show the whole exercise. So they stop after force. They tell you to do something, but they demonstrate something different. Again, annoying, but we want drunk drivers off the road. So I get it. And if they are drunk and they're impaired and they can't do this stuff and follow directions, they need to be off the road, and just wait to hear what Hulk Hogan says about that.
Instructions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you have any questions?
I mean, it's a lot, but yeah, sure. I can do it. 1 through 9 here and turn around and come back 1 through 9.
Just like I explained?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have any more questions?
That'll do it.
All right. So when you're ready, you can begin.
One thing I'll point out is he's not swaying back and forth. A lot of times you'll see that when somebody's drunk. Okay, so a couple of these are a little staggery, draggy, but he does get heel to toe going across. But I mean, this second one I think is pretty. They circle and document when you take a bad step. My guess is there was a little documentation there. This one almost trips over himself. Overall, not bad, I would say. Overall, you can work with this as a criminal defense attorney. Now, this is the most common way they turn, not the right way. He's supposed to stop there and shuffle his basically right foot around and then start back the other way.
Just like I explained.
As opposed to that twist, which is what most people do. Whoop, and there was an almost fall. Back it up just so you can see this first step. Whoop, got his balance. And then again, he does okay.
Okay, you can relax, sir. You want to
Well,
face me?
medium, but probably
All
showed
right,
plenty
so
of signs
we'll
of
step over
impairment
here
for the
for a
officer.
minute. This next exercise is called the one leg stand. Okay, what I'm gonna do is have you stand with your feet together for me, heels and toes touch like mine. Heels and toes touching.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hands at your sides.
I got some
Heels and toes touching.
Yeah.
All right, hands at your sides.
Yeah, got some knee injuries here, so it depends which leg we're working with.
Okay. I'm gonna give you the option to go with either leg.
Both are a little messed up, so we'll see.
Are you able to do this exercise?
I hope so. I mean,
Okay.
I used to ride dirt bikes, so my knees are a little not happy. But
All right, let me go through the instructions, okay? And you can tell me if you can do it or not. All right. So this is hands at your side. This is the starting position. I need you to remain in that position until I finish the instructions. You understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when I tell you to begin, you're gonna raise a leg of your choice, approximately 6 inches off the ground.
I'm sorry, my feet were rubbing against. I just gave myself like a half an inch of space. They're together. I can't press them like that.
All right, but you're gonna raise it up approximately 6 inches off the ground, which is about the height of a soda can. Just
Uncomfortable stance, obviously. So the two most common field sobriety exercises are the walk and turn and the one leg stand in Florida, at least in our area, which is exactly where this is, in Clearwater. So this is the second one. Now, usually they can just stop after that if they have enough signs of impairment. You'll see he continues to do some extra ones that they're allowed to do, but to me, that shows they didn't get enough signs of impairment in the first couple. Now, I saw some there. He actually does pretty good on the one leg stand. So we're going to watch this together. He figures out which knee hurts worse. He says he's got knee impairment. So if you're the defense attorney, you say, oh, well, maybe he struggled on this because of his knee surgery or, whatever. He had a bad knee and it's hard to stand on one leg. You'll wobble a little if you have a knee injury. So that's why they always ask about, do you have any impairments, injuries that would make this difficult for you? And those are his answers.
Okay. Point that raised foot forward so the foot is parallel with the ground.
Which foot?
Okay. The raised foot. All right. While keeping both of your legs, while keeping both of your legs straight, you can look down at your raised foot and count out loud 1001, 1002, 1003, and so on until I tell you to stop counting. During exercise, I want you to keep your hands at your sides. Don't use them for balance. I want you to sway. I don't want you to hop. And I don't want you to put your foot down. If you do happen to put your foot down, pick it back up. Continue counting where you left off. Don't start over. So, for example, if you drop your foot on 1005, once you regain your balance, pick it back up. 1006, 1007, 1008, and so on until I tell you to stop
And
counting.
multitasking, remembering where you're at, doing multiple things at once is always parts of these exercises.
You understand the instructions?
I think so.
Any questions?
No.
Which leg will you be using to raise up?
I prefer to balance on my. They're both messed up, so we'll just go with my right one.
Your right leg? Okay.
I want to stand on my right leg.
Okay. Whichever one. Once you raise the leg up, though, I don't want you to switch legs, okay?
Okay.
All right. Hold on, give me a second.
Wait, can I just run?
No, I don't need you practicing any. There's no practices, okay? But
okay, I don't run my knees. They're both a little messed up.
Which one would you want to raise
I
up?
just want to feel which one hurts worse. That's all I'm trying to say. Because I messed up both my knees. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll lift up the right one.
Your right leg? Okay. I will start my time when you pick up your leg and begin counting, okay? Whenever you're ready.
And my knee or straight?
Remember, leg straight, right? Okay, both our legs are going to be straight when you do this, okay? Whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009,
Remember, hands at your sides.
1011, 1012, 1013, 1014.
Remember, hands at your sides.
1015, 1016, 1017, 1018.
So his hands are just barely above his sides, right? But they're going to be like, oh, he raised his hands up to balance. He did a little bit. I don't think it was that bad personally. You can work with this FSE video. Again, I've seen much worse. I thought the walk and turn was worse than this. I thought he did okay on the one leg stand personally, but you guys let me know as potential jurors. Do you think, as we go through each one, tell me, HGN, did you see anything there that made you think he was impaired? Walk and turn. Did you see anything there and what'd you see? One leg stand. Did you see anything there and what'd you see? Because I love to see what you guys, lay people, potential jurors who we would pick to be on these types of juries. What do you see when you watch this? You bring in your experience about knowing drunk people, maybe being drunk yourself, maybe, having a DUI, maybe seeing other DUI videos. You bring all that experience together, and that's kind of how you determine these things with your own eyes and ears, and he doesn't blow. So you don't have something that says he blew a 0.15. Okay, he was drunk. We don't have that. So if we just have this video, what is your thought process? Because I learn a lot from your comments here on videos like this.
2019.
You can stop.
my leg here?
Nope. You just stop. All right. Next exercise is called the finger
You
to
did
nose.
pretty good there, Mike.
All right. What I'm gonna do is have you stand with your feet together for me, heels and toes touching. Bring your hands up
So
like this
now
and
he
close them.
continues, which to me, if I'm a criminal defense attorney, says my client's doing pretty good on these first couple. Now, smell of alcohol, dangerous driving, some of the way he's talking, and some of the staggering on the walk and turn. If I'm a prosecutor, that's letting me know I got enough to convict this guy. So he's probably taking a plea deal. He's probably not going to want to take this to trial.
Extend your pointer fingers, bring them down, and turn your palms forward. This is a starting position. I want you to remain in this position until I give you the further instructions, okay? You understand? All right. So when I tell you to, you're going to tilt your head back. You're going to close your eyes.
Okay.
You're going to hear me say left or right.
Okay.
When you hear me say left, you're going to bring your left hand up. You touch the tip of that finger to the tip of your nose, and immediately put it back down to your side in one fluid motion.
Okay.
When you hear me say right, you're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to bring your right hand up and touch the tip of your finger to the tip of your nose, and immediately put it back down to your side in one fluid motion.
Yes, sir.
Now, for the purpose of this exercise, these are the tips of your fingers, okay?
Yes,
These
sir.
are the pads of your fingers, and these are the sides. All right? So I'm going to show you again. If this was an example of your nose, tip of the finger, tip of the nose. Not the pad, not the sides, the tip of your finger, okay? I want you to touch the very tip of your nose, not the top, bottom, or the sides of your nose, but the very tip of your nose.
Just want to stand like this.
Okay, yep, you're going to stand just like that. But I'm going to tell you, remember, if I say left, boom. If I say right, boom, and right back down, okay?
Tip of the finger to the
Tip of the finger to the tip of your nose.
Okay.
Do you understand my instructions?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any more questions? Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. So your hands are here, feet are together. Tilt your head back, look in the sky. Close those eyes for me. Keep those eyes closed. Left. Right. Left. Right. His eyes closed.
Eyes are closed.
And there's no cadence on purpose. He's not saying left, 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 right, left. You know, there's no cadence because you don't want them to start to guess what you're going to do next.
Right.
I squint and close.
Left. All right, you can relax. I have one last exercise for you. You can relax for a minute. All right, this one's called modified Romberg balance. Sounds a lot harder than it is, okay?
He
All
keeps
right.
going now.
So, I want you to feet together.
He's doing a fifth FSE, technically, if you take the HGN, the I1, as a field sobriety exercise.
For me, heels and toes touch like mine, hands at your sides. And then you remain in that position until I give you the instructions. You understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, so when I tell you to, you're going to tilt your head back. You're going to close your eyes.
Okay.
You're going to hear me say begin. When you hear me say begin, I want you to remain in that position until you feel that 30 seconds has passed in your head, not out loud.
I'm sorry. Good.
I don't know what he asks him here. Obviously, the sound goes out.
When I say begin, you're going to tilt your head back, okay? You're going to close your eyes. You're going to hear me say begin. And when you hear me say begin, I want you to remain in that position until you feel that 30 seconds has passed in your head, not out loud.
So tilt my head back, close my eyes, and count to 30.
However you like to do that. You're going to estimate 30 seconds in your head, not out loud.
Okay.
Once you feel you've reached 30 seconds in your head, you're going to bring your head forward, open your eyes, and say stop. That's it. You understand the instructions? Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Remember, don't start your estimation until you hear me say begin, okay? All right. Tilt your head back. Close those eyes. Begin.
Again, I've seen people fall over doing this. He's definitely not blasted drunk, but impaired to the level he shouldn't be driving, especially with his history. It's crazy the decisions people still seem to make. Allegedly, I should say. I don't know. He may have, I know.
You remember my instructions? So we're going to say stop.
Oh, stop.
All right.
I'm sorry.
All right.
But again,
Very
he
good.
forgot
All
to
right,
tell him stop, which again shows the level of impairment. May not be to the max level, but like we said, that's not how it is. You don't have to be blasted, not able to walk and get a DUI. You just have to be impaired to where your normal faculties are impaired. And normal faculties would be remembering instructions and being able to multitask. And his normal faculties are impaired because he cannot remember those instructions. That's what the officer would say.
No, you're good. We're going to come over here.
No, you're good. You're good. Come over here so I can arrest you. That's what the cop's saying, basically.
Right. So I'm front of the vehicle here. There's one fish under that. Relax. All right, explain everything to you. What I'm going to do is I put you in 2 handcuffs because you're kind of got some big shoulders there, okay?
Again, cop, super respectful. He's not going to smash his hands together in 1 handcuffs. He puts it in 2 handcuffs so he can be more comfortable. I feel like both sides were really respectful and fair. I like to see interactions. I mean, I don't like to see this happening. Obviously, DUIs are horrible, but I like to see interactions with criminal defendants and law enforcement officers be respectful like this.
Relax. I'll explain everything to you one step at a time, all right? All right, 1 second. They're not too tight, are they? No, sir. Okay. I'm going to
He locks him.
breath test to determine its alcohol content. I'm just going to place you under arrest for DUI. Next part of my investigation is a breath test to determine its alcohol content. Are you willing to provide me a sample of your breath?
Sure.
Sure.
What's if I don't? What's
All right, let me explain it to you.
outcome if I don't?
Let me explain it to you. Now requesting that you submit to lawful test of your breath for purposes of determining its alcohol content.
And this is something in Florida you have to read so that you can make a knowing involuntary declination, basically, for the breath test, because it is a misdemeanor if you refuse to take the breath test on its own. It's a totally separate and additional crime to DUI.
Test. Would you say yes? Now you're asking what happens if you don't. If you refuse to take the test on request of you, your driving privilege will be suspended for a period of 1 year for the first refusal.
So he says yes first, and then he says what happens if I don't. And he said if you refuse, first refusal, 12 months, you lose your license. Second refusal, 18 months.
For 18 months if your driving privilege has been previously suspended, or if you were previously fined under state statute 327.35215, which is the DUI, voting statute, for refusing to submit to a lawful test of your breath or in the blood. Additionally, if you refuse to take the test I requested of you, and if your driving privilege has been previously suspended, or if you're previously fined under state statute 327.35215 for refusal to submit to a lawful test of your breath or in the blood, you will be committing a misdemeanor in addition to any other penalties which can be imposed by law.
Do you mind if I just read it myself?
Refusal to submit to the test I requested is admissible to evidence in any criminal proceeding. Yeah, you can go ahead and take a look at it now.
Again, refusal is admissible in criminal proceedings.
I got you.
Meaning they can tell the jury you refused. They can prove it as a second crime. And again, people say that's consciousness of guilt in DUI cases is usually what the prosecutor argues. What do you think about that? What do you think about a refusal? Do you think it shows consciousness of guilt? In Florida, we're not technically supposed to advise or tell criminal defendants or clients to refuse because then we would be telling them to commit a crime. So when people always ask this, it's always an interesting and convoluted answer from a criminal defense lawyer like myself or someone in our firm in Florida. Obviously, if you blow above a 0.08, you're screwed.
Are you a CDL holder?
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
You good?
So slow reader.
He says, I'm still reading while he's looking around. The cop's like, too bad, and takes it away.
So reading.
He says, I'm still reading, but he's not even looking at it. Again, sign of impairment. Also something the cop's not going to wait around for him for an hour saying he's still reading it. It's been read to him.
Still reading, boss man.
All right. Well, listen, I read it to you. Okay.
I'm still reading that. I'm sorry. I'm still
listen,
reading that.
I've read it to you. What it basically says is that if it's the first time you refuse, you lose your license for a year. If it's the second or subsequent refusal, so if you refuse in the past, it's going to be an 18-month suspension on your license, and it's an additional charge for refusing. So with that said, I'm going to ask a final time if you're willing to give me a second of your breath.
May I speak to my legal counsel?
No, when it comes to implied consent, no.
Always a good move. Asking for your lawyer. Can I talk to my legal counsel? People usually understand that. You want to ask them this question. It's very common. They don't have to let you stop and call your lawyer at this point. And so it usually ends up in a refusal, which is exactly what happens in this case.
You don't get a legal counsel, okay?
There's no legal counsel.
No, not when it comes to implied consent, no, sir.
Okay. Breathalyzer. Okay. Yeah.
He wants to ask his friend in the car their opinion. And again, he's considering it. You get it. To me, what this probably indicates to me is he's probably had a few. He probably doesn't feel like he's drunk, but if he's had a couple, you never know. If you blow over a 0.08, you're screwed. If you say no, you leave open other arguments potentially later. But again, this indicates to me he's not, blasted or plastered, but he's probably had a few.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
If you literally had nothing to drink, why not blow, right? Literally 0 drinks, 0 alcoholic beverages. You should probably blow.
It's up to you.
I can't make a decision.
The machine can be wrong. We've had cases like that, and we've tried an entire week-long DUI trial where we fought the accuracy of the machine and were successful in that fight, but it's very unusual. And the state likes to call it an instrument because it doesn't fail.
You can't make a decision.
No, sir. I can't make a decision.
So this is
That's
what I'm going to do. I'm
refusal.
going to take you down to the instrument. I'm going to give you the opportunity down there to provide yourself since you're indecisive.
I'm indecisive. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Spread your stance for me. Nice and wide. Nice and wide. Hold on.
Earplugs. Letter.
Earplugs.
Earplugs. Letter.
And again, this is just search incident to arrest. Make sure nothing's dangerous. Take his stuff off of him. Nothing bad about this.
Wait a second. I know this is part of this procedure. All right. We're going to walk over here to my side, okay? Got it for a minute. All right, so just have a seat inside here for me. Watch your head as you step in, okay?
He's impaired, driving.
It's impaired.
All right. And look who showed up.
Currently,
The Hulkster. Here he is. It's Hulk Hogan's son. And again, Hulk Hogan knows about the previous bad decisions and horrible things that resulted from Nick Hogan getting behind the wheel and making bad decisions in the past. So we'll see. Does he try to strong arm law enforcement? Does he try to play big shot? Does he try to play I'm a celebrity? Give him a break. Come on. Hook me up. Help me out. He's wearing a shirt with Hollywood Hogan on it, his own face on his shirt. Let's see how he acts.
in custody for DUI.
DUI.
So he tells him he's been arrested for
Did he blow?
DUI.
He's currently in custody for DUI.
DUI. Did he blow? Okay.
We're at that point right now where he's asking if he's willing to blow or not.
Cool. Let me call my lawyer real quick. See what about this. Is crazy. Sorry about this.
It's all right. Basically, if he refuses, he's gonna lose his license. I think he has refused. I think
Well, another thing Hogan said right there was, I'm sorry about this. So to me, it starts off on a very respectful tone, understanding his son probably did something wrong, or at least the cops were just doing their job. And, you know, he's sorry.
that's where we are with it. So if he refuses, he's going to have the opportunity to go to a driver's license hearing, where we can get a hardship driver's license. If this is his first DUI, then there's methods they can use to reduce the charges, and there's different things that they can do. With your attorney, you should be able to figure all that out.
Yeah, he said.
So he starts saying, you know, it's probably just going to be this. He's probably just going to get his license suspended and get a hardship license, which means you can drive to work, to school, groceries, things like that. You know, if it's his first time, he can take a DUI class, and he kind of goes through and minimizes it to Hulk Hogan like it's not really that big of a deal.
This is first DUI.
And he says, yes, it is his first DUI.
What was he doing? Was he speeding or what was the deal?
Move over.
Hogan asked a good question. Why was he pulled over? Was he doing something wrong? Did he get caught for stealing, etc.?
DUI.
Yeah, he should be.
What was he doing? Was he speeding or what was the deal?
Move over.
Excuse me?
Move over.
What does move over mean?
That's when officers are working on the side of the road. You change lanes. You went by us at 51.
Said he didn't move over. He didn't change lanes when we were on the side of the road, and he blew by us going 51. And what he said to Nick Hogan was that he almost ran me over.
Yeah. So they're taking him to 49th Street?
We're going to take him to the main station. We're going to give him the opportunity to, I think he's refused, so we're going to give him the opportunity to still provide a breath sample regardless.
CJC, or 49th Street is CJC Criminal Justice Center, where the state attorney's office is, the jail is. He asked if he's taking him over there. He said, no, we're going to take him over to our, you know, just local office here. Give him another chance to blow.
And If he still refuses, then he'll just get a DUI citation. We'll just go to a county jail after that. He's got to spend 8 hours from the time of the arrest.
Where's the main station?
645 Hume Street.
Is that downtown?
Yes, sir.
Downtown Clearwater.
Is that across from the empty park over there?
Yes, sir.
What's going on with those two idiots?
We're just yelling and screaming. She's very
He said, what's going on with those two idiots? He said, I think he's talking about the girls in Nick Hogan's truck. We're going to hear from them in a minute.
What's the status?
He says he can't make up his mind on that.
Yeah,
I'm going to take you down to the instrument and so give me that opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to do that regardless.
Again, can't make a decision is the equivalent of refusing eventually if you don't do it. And they read you what the repercussions are for refusing. All right, here we go. So now we're going to hear from one of the people that was in Nick Hogan's truck. Get ready. It's a lot.
No, I will pass all the sobriety tests. Give me a sobriety test.
He says, give me a sobriety test. And Hogan's walking over to the car probably to be like, hey, can you shut up? Just calm down, please. You're not making this better.
That's his wife.
That back passenger is trying to calm her down. It's just not working.
Back passenger's trying to calm down the person in the front seat.
No, yeah, it's just standard procedure here with me. It's always some type of BS drama.
That's what he wants to do.
There's some kind of BS.
Okay,
problem.
well, yeah, the officer said he's down at the downtown station across that empty park where we're going down and feeding all the homeless people down there. I think that's the one right down there. All right, so. Well, there's no reason for you to stay up there booking him, and then I'm going to bail him out. That should be it.
He's going to spend 8 hours.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry, what was that,
He's
boss?
going to spend 8 hours in custody.
It's going to be 8 hours in custody. So he's like, there's no reason for either of us to sit down there. We'll come bail him out in the morning. Basically, he's talking to his lawyer on the phone. I think I know who it is, but I'm not positive, so I won't say.
It's going to be there 8 hours.
He's got to spend 8 hours. By state law, he's got to spend 8 hours in custody.
Okay, well, he's going to spend 8 hours in custody. And then I'll get him out. Can I talk to him?
Usually the answer is no. And this is one of the first things I think they end up letting him talk to him. This is kind of the first indication that I think they gave some special treatment to Hulk, to the Hulkster. But generally speaking, I think, again, Hulkster is very respectful, doesn't ask for too much, doesn't push, doesn't argue with them. He asks very appropriate questions. I think it was very respectful between him and the officer. But they do let him talk to his son. I don't think they would let everybody.
585, can you come back here real quick?
I can take her in the car in the house if you want me to. I'll run a sobriety test and everything about it. If you trust me.
Just 1 second.
I'm asking 585 to back up. Can you talk to him real quick?
The backseat driver's like, I can take her to the house and drop her off. If you trust me to drive the car, I'll take a sobriety test before I leave. So I thought we were going to hear from the front seat passenger, but not yet.
Can you back up so we can talk to him real quick?
I was going to, yeah, I can do that. I was just going to get your phone number real quick for him.
Back up so we can talk to him.
That was so I could get his property.
So he'll be able to call you once everything, once he gets out the county and everything. He'll be able to call you from there. Usually they have a cell phone, but you don't really get the number for him. I'll put it in his property. Okay.
Cop must be a pretty big dude because Hulk's huge.
So said it'd be 8 hours before he could get
Yes, sir.
So there's no reason for me to go down there and hang around all night.
Yeah, no, sir. Look for a call, make sure that's on high ring so you don't miss it.
Yeah, so mine's going back to sleep.
Yeah, he'll get out 10 o'clock.
10?
Yeah, as long as he blows under an 05, he'll get out at 10 o'clock.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'd love to.
Open the door. Open the door.
He's like, okay, we'll put the window down. He's like, just open the door. Open the door. It's Hulkster, man. It's Hulkster. Open the door.
All right, cool.
They don't record their conversation, and here we go. Here's where some of the fireworks come.
Whoa, whatever. I worked at, like, you. I'm sorry, I'm emotional. Yeah, I worked at Men's Prison. I think you guys make. And I can't blow that long.
Look, you gotta blow harder.
I'm an ex-porn star. That's as hard as I can blow. Sorry. Google me.
Like, whoa, We don't really need to get into that. But what I will say is probably indicates she knows how a breathalyzer works, because you can look like you're trying to blow into it, but if you don't blow hard enough, it can't pick up and actually read it. And if there's no reading, there's no accurate breath test. So it doesn't look like you're refusing. You're trying to do it. You're trying to cooperate. You're trying to prove you're not drunk, but it's just not working. So that's somebody that I would guess has some experience about how this stuff works. Now, eventually she tries 2 or 3 more times and it does work, but Google her. No, thank you. Pass.
I'm sorry. I'm sad. Like, I was a commissary manager, and I sat with people who did BWI, the boating while intoxicated, and I was like, I didn't know that was possible.
No, she didn't blow hard enough.
I can blow harder.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of lung capacity. I know how to do this. I'm not dumb.
Consistent.
I'm trying. I have little lungs. Me. It's funny. I know it. I'm telling you, like, you guys are being so... I used to work in a prison. I hate everyone. Good. I'm not doing anything wrong.
Big deep breath and blow. You gotta blow harder and consistent. Keep going.
Like, my lungs are this wide. I don't need that. What am I gonna do with that? Sell it on my OnlyFans? Like, thanks. I'm not drunk. I'm emotional. I'm sad. Yeah, why are we getting them? Racing. On the bowling booth, racing all day. I'll do another one. I'm not drunk. I'm sad. I used to work at the prison.
A little bit of ironic comment of her saying, why don't you go get them for racing, since Nick Hogan has in fact gotten in trouble for that in his past as well.
You can get your breath because you're not given a complete sample.
Because it's under the limit and you don't believe me.
No,
yes.
That's not why. If it was under the limit, it would say it was under the limit.
It's just saying she's talking too much.
All right. Big deep breath.
I can't breathe that deep.
This is exactly how an interaction is not supposed to go with law enforcement, and how usually they're not as nice to you when you act like this. I mean, look at how they were talking to Hulk and to Nick Hogan versus the interaction with her.
All right. And blow.
I'm gonna like pass out. If I go to the hospital, you're gonna pay for me to go to the hospital? No. No.
And again, I don't know if she's intoxicated or not. Actually, I think she does blow over the legal limit, but like, this is more about, if you saw this video, you might be like, yeah, she kind of seems like she's drunk. She probably shouldn't be driving, you know? So as a defense attorney, to have this in contrast to Nick Hogan is probably something you could use. She blew a .12, I think 1.2, and clearly seems more drunk than Nick Hogan. Maybe she's just more emotional. Maybe she's just more angry or whatever it may be. So maybe you could use that to show, obviously Nick Hogan must be less than her, or, you know, he already said that she was drinking. And, you know, by kissing her, that's why his breath smelled like alcohol. That was kind of Nick Hogan's statement from the beginning. So maybe this would actually help in the defense that they have this part of the video with how she's acting. We'll see.
Check
I can 125.
125.
What is it?
0.125.
I don't know. Is that over the
It's
limit?
double leg. 1.5 times over.
So he was sitting in the car. I couldn't tell, but if he was standing in front of me, I could tell if he was drunk or not by just looking at him. Did he look?
So he said he was sitting in the car, so I couldn't really tell. But if he was standing in front of me, I'd be able to tell if he was drunk or not. And he basically asked the cops, did he look drunk to you when he stood in front of you?
Like he was drunk when you saw him?
Yeah, he didn't do.
I thought he was going to say he didn't do bad on his field sobriety exercises, but that's not what he says. The cop says he did not perform well, or he performed poorly on the field sobriety exercises, is what he tells Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay.
He didn't do well in the field sobriety exercises.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't know what the other officer saw. From what I saw, he didn't do it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
If it's his first DUI, he should be okay.
Yeah, it is.
He's just going to have to go through a bunch of different steps, and your attorney should be able to take him through those different steps and
Yeah, but he had already started telling me what you had just told me.
So he's already been on the phone with his attorney. They're kind of talking about what he needs to do. But, and again, I don't know if this isn't the officer that actually did the field sobriety exercises with Hogan, with Nick, but basically said from what I saw, he did not perform well on them. Again, Hulk Hogan's like, okay, he's not arguing with him, just asking questions.
Hardship license and
Yes.
the DUI school and the whole thing.
All right. He's going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops. And hopefully, your attorney will be able to work through it with him.
We the best thing I ever did was quit drinking. Every problem I've ever had in my life revolves around somebody drinking alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And he's condemning it. He's like, every problem I've ever had in my life revolves around somebody drinking alcohol. That's what he says. We're going to hear that again.
And your attorney will be able to work through it with him.
The best thing I ever did was quit drinking. Every problem I've ever had in my life revolves around somebody drinking alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
100%. Fortunately, this is all we do all night long.
I don't know how you do it.
Junks off the road.
I don't know how you do it, especially with people that keep running their mouths, man. I'd lock them all up.
I don't know how you do it, especially people that run their mouth. I'd lock them all up. That's literally what he says while his son is in the back of a cop car for exactly what they're talking about, which to me seems like maybe Hulk Hogan at this point finally realizes like enough is enough. And this is bad, and this has to stop. If the allegations are true, I just looked it up, and Nick Hogan pled not guilty to the DUI at this point, so it's still ongoing. I would think he's going to take a plea deal at some point, but maybe not. Maybe they feel like they have enough with these videos to go to trial and prove he was not impaired. But Hulk Hogan even condemning this type of behavior if, in fact, he was drinking and getting behind the wheel.
You gotta have patience of a saint.
I guess so.
You gotta have the patience of a saint.
They push your button sometimes.
Jeez.
Just gotta know how far you can get away with it, that's all.
Yeah, well, you guys are more than flexible. I know a lot of people that would quit anyway.
This game,
He said you guys are being a lot more flexible than you have to. Again, he's appreciative of them. He's complimenting them on the work that they do, saying it's hard and he wouldn't want to do it. All good things to do in interactions with law enforcement, whether you agree with it or not.
age, we have no choice.
And the cop said in this day and age, we have no choice. We have to be flexible, meaning it's tough to be a cop out there.
That's why we have to remain as professional as possible, and in doing so, you have to be flexible.
Yeah.
How long has he been married?
Oh my gosh, a couple years.
He's talking about Nick. He said he was kissing his girlfriend. I thought.
I'm really surprised he was drinking because I was with him at 9 o'clock and I was at my house and he just finished.
And now some facts that could be used in his defense. Hulk Hogan was with him at 9 o'clock at his house.
Working house, you know, they've been training arms, and then he was going to go pick her up because he'd
They were training arms, and then he was going to go pick her up.
be there at 10. And so, as we were working, I was, I just feel really good. I'm not going to drink anything tonight. That's why I was surprised.
And then he says Nick Hogan told him he's not going to drink anything tonight. That's why he was surprised that he was drinking. Again, planting little seeds of doubt that absolutely will be used if there is a defense to this case and they go to trial. There is a defense, but if they actually go to trial and fight it, it's 2:30 a.m. They were training arms at 9 o'clock p.m. So how much could he have really drank?
All of a sudden, I get this call that he's getting pulled over for DUI. And Knucklehead screamed to me on the phone. As soon as I heard that, I knew
Knucklehead screaming at me on the phone. Again, he's not very happy with the company Nick is keeping, it seems.
there was a problem. And I heard her attitude. You know, I didn't know if she'd got him in trouble or if he'd been drinking.
I didn't know if she had gotten him in trouble. Again, planting these little things that could be used later.
Surprised when you guys said
He's like, I'd be surprised, or he said, I'd be surprised if Nick was drinking.
That's the other officer said he's got alcohol in his breath. So.
Yeah.
And he put a little blame on the other officer. He's like, well, the other officer said he had alcohol in his breath.
I went by there at 10 because I had a couple of my friends coming down. Jason Aldean's DJ was there. And so
Then I saw him at 10. Now we're getting later, even closer to 2:30 a.m. Jason Aldean, a little name drop there. I don't need to pick that up. I'm just going to drop that name right there as DJ was in town hanging out.
I went by at 10. I stayed till 11:15. And when I was there, he didn't drink anything in front of me.
He didn't drink anything in front of me until 11:15. So now we're just 3+ hours away from now. But at the same time, from the prosecutor, I'd be like, you guys were partying with Jason Aldean's DJ and Hulkster was there and everybody's there. So you can see how both lawyers on each side can use this stuff in a prosecution or defense in a case like this.
He was right there DJing. I was sitting this close next to him. And he said he must have started drinking after I left. He must have drank like shots of liquor or something. Because
he must have started drinking after I left with shots of liquor. So that's not good for the defense, obviously. And if you're the prosecution, you say, well, obviously, Hulk, you even admitted he could have started drinking and pounding shots after you left. Plenty of time to be drunk by 2:00 in the morning.
I mean, I smelled it when I came up on it, but I didn't, he ducked his head away from me, so I couldn't look in his eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes usually the window to the world. So
Yeah.
I just couldn't figure it out from there.
Yeah.
How are you? Can we help you?
Yeah, I came here for the Diana or the liquor home.
Oh, they're already gone.
Oh, they're already left?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought she didn't explain that they left it.
You guys have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Sorry.
He's like, okay. And that's it. So interesting interaction. Again, I think everybody handled it appropriately. Got to rely on the officer's observations, what they saw, smell, heard, and did in those to make the decision. It's their discretion whether or not to arrest somebody for DUI in that situation. DUIs are horrible. They're dangerous. They're the worst. They're horrible decisions people make. How expensive is an Uber these days? Come on. Got to make better decisions than that. If in fact it is true, it's just allegations and Nick Hogan is presumed innocent at this point. He's pled not guilty. We'll see what ends up happening. But I thought this was a great learning experience. Interesting interaction. Celebrity, obviously, coming in. We've seen celebrities try to throw their weight around at a DUI. I didn't really see much of that here. Maybe they've learned from what they're seeing in the news when other people try to do that. But I want to know your thoughts, what you thought throughout the process, how you would have viewed the evidence in this video if you were on a jury. I love to read those comments. It helps me learn a lot and perfect my craft as a trial lawyer. So I appreciate you guys coming to this channel, hanging out, giving your input. Hit that like button on the way out and make sure you don't forget to subscribe. Till next time, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. And don't forget to check out the Lawyer You Know podcast with new seasons dropping every quarter. If you have a case you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, the Lawyer You Know.